if anyone's seen my last few videos, you'd see how depressed I was, fed up with life, my journey, and I get like that. And I always say this, that I go through immense, intense periods of suffering and mental anguish, but I transcend it quick. So it's really intense for me, and it feels like my head's going to explode. It really does, and it feels like life's just lost all meaning, and I feel it immensely. But I transmute so fast, so I'll go through that intensely, and then I come out the other side with different perspective, a bit more healed. So you might notice that my energy feels lighter. I've woke up feeling lighter. The transition throughout the day was strange. I was really heavy in the morning, and I was really depressed. I just thought, there's no point. I'm not even working on book projects at the minute. I don't know if I'll come back to it this year. Within a space of a day, things are improving. So that's nice. I think sometimes finding a distraction away from the suffering we experience is always good. I was watching, and I'm really enjoying it, is The Office US. And there's so much of that I just find really amusing. And I love all the characters. I think the acting is top class. And I'm just like, this is incredible. Now, I've seen pockets of it in the past, but I've really been watching it a lot over the past week or so. Because I've always preferred the UK version, but there was only ever 2 seasons. And even though I liked the US version, I always had this draw to the original, And I still think, if you talk about like a one-off episode, I'd still probably say the UK version because of how awkward it is. But as a whole, it's a masterpiece, the US version. And I just watched the Vegas, no, not Vegas, the Nevada one when they went on the wedding and things. Anyway, don't digress too far, but that really helped pick my mood up because I was just like, this is great. I love this. It just made me feel a bit more better in my space, I guess. So, yeah, last night I thought, right, I might get back working on the book again, the next one. But it was quite late, and I thought, I'm too tired. I want to do it, but I'm too tired. So I'm probably going to be working on it today. I thought, today I'm going to make myself happy. So I'm going to work on projects, but I'm also just going to relax and not be so miserable in my own space. Because that's what was happening over the past few days. Now, that's not what this video is about. I just thought I would start with that because we are talking about protecting our peace. And I think it's important to reflect on being peaceful in ourselves, So, yeah, I'm not going to keep putting pressure on myself. If life isn't how I hope it would be or expected, then I kind of just have to make peace with that and just get on anyway. Look, some things we do are valid. So it's not because, you shouldn't do that. No, you don't. If you crash out, you crash out. It's okay. You can feel like that for a while. It's valid. But if we stay there, even permanently, we're not doing ourselves any favors, are we? So we can spite for a while, and you can say it's a valid response, which I feel it is at times. But it doesn't serve us too well to maintain that space. So we get on and continue. Just keep pushing forward, investing in ourselves regardless of the results, So I think that's probably a good start, actually, even though I think it's off topic, because it's going to help, I think, with perhaps a bit more of an understanding of what I'm going to talk about. So the things I talk about are things I experience in my own life or something I'm overcoming, and then especially my books. And then sometimes there's topics that maybe I've witnessed in others, and maybe I've had to lend a hand, and I think that will help people, especially for the younger generation. Like I say, my day yesterday was quite split in between frustration, depression, and it grew and I got better as the day gone on. And sometimes I think the timing of things is quite surreal. So maybe like my daughter doesn't live with me. She's nearly 16. She calls me off quite often. We do FaceTimes and stuff. Yesterday, she didn't bother me. Well, she didn't until the very end of the day. And it was kind of like the best time she could have called me in essence because I wouldn't have been the most fun, enjoyable morning earlier. But by the time I'm ready to go to sleep, and I was ready to go to sleep, I was about to go to sleep, I get this video call. And I thought, oh, no, not when I'm about to go to sleep. This is ridiculous. I think you have to set boundaries somewhere. I just thought, oh, what did she want? No, like, why would she call me so late? It was late. It was after 10 p.m. anyway, so I can't remember exact time now. But it was beyond that, and I'm thinking, this is crazy. And she's got a bit of drama in her life, and I was just listening to it. And the reason I want to talk about this isn't to call people out or anything like that. It's just I recognise there's a lot of people who don't have maybe guidance in their life. They don't have a strong figure who can maybe see through the bullshit and call it out as it is. So the other side to this, before we get to it, is my daughter has that in me. And so She knows how I handle situations. Because think about it this way. She's got a situation in her life. She didn't have to call me. She could have just dealt with it and put up with it or whatever she wants to do. Instead, she feels the need to share it with me, knowing I will have an opinion on it. Now, not necessarily she's looking for that opinion, but she's calling me anyway about it. So she knows I'm going to say something. So it would suggest she's looking for my advice to a degree, of course, make her own decisions. She did end up following my advice to a point. She still has her own way of thinking, of course. And I think that was important to explain as well, because some people, again, they don't have someone they can confide in, someone they trust enough to talk about things in their life. And the other side to this is, if someone is on the other end of this, it's about growing up. Some people have emotional maturity, they have emotional intelligence. Some people don't. They still act like a child even as they grow up. They'll make drama part of their life and they'll drag people into it because that feels important to them. It's so trivial and absolutely meaningless. It's such a waste of life to get caught up in an endless cycle of pointless drama just because someone feels it's important. You know, I won't put up with that shit in my life, and I encourage my daughter not to put up with it either. I don't care if it's a friend or not. If it's someone who's just going to drag you down for no reason other than their own self-gratification, or in some cases it's a case of like putting themselves down but looking for sympathy, just making drama unnecessarily when you've got your own life to live, you don't need people like that in your life. So if someone like that, let's say is that person, ever saw my content, hence this video, I'm not doing it for them, of course, I'm trying to empower people, but there's two sides of it, isn't there? You're going to have one side who plays the victim and is a pain in the arse. You're going to have someone else who has to listen to this shit and it drags them down and holds them back. So you're going to have two sides to the coin. But if the other side was to see my video, for instance, they would get to hear what I tell my daughter. So let's say, for instance, my daughter reacts in a way that I encourage her to because she feels, yes, that makes sense. And the other person gets offended. If they ever see my content, they get to see that I am one of those. I am a big part of her decision to do that. So she has me next to her saying, that person's a pain in the arse. I wouldn't put up with that. That's up to you, though. So I'm going to explain how I deal with things. Protecting my peace is my everything. I don't deal with endless cycles of nonsense. If anyone disrespects me, like I'm talking about genuine disrespect. You can have a little conflict, you can have a little argument, a disagreement. There's levels. My tolerance has got a lot. I've got a lot, like I haven't got as much tolerance nowadays. So maybe I put up with more in the past. Now I don't put up with anything. So if I don't like someone's character, I won't talk to them. If someone's a pain in the ass, I'm fed up with them. You know, there's just so many layers, and it's just I don't have time for shit in my life. And it's just the way it is. So you either respect me or you don't respect me. It's like one way or the other. You know, you either do or you don't. If you don't, I haven't got time to waste on you. I really don't care about your opinion of me. It doesn't bother me. If you don't like me, that's fine. If you decide to get a load of people not to like me, I couldn't give a shit. It's like, I don't care. And that's just nonsense. It's just noise. I just see things as noise. I don't care. Anyone sees my videos, you know, I don't care about reputation and all that shit. You know, I'm not here to sort of act like the perfect person. I'm curated to the way you want me to look. No. I'm very direct and opinionated, and I just don't put up with shit. So you won't find me a tool to play games with. You just get blocked and deleted. I really couldn't give a shit. And I encourage my daughter to do the same thing. So if someone thinks, oh, I'm headstrong, I'm a pain in the ass because I don't engage and I don't do this, I encourage her to be similar. So time's too short. You've got your own life, you've got your own goals, you've got your own dreams. What value does it add to continue playing someone else's game? Because that's all it is. Someone creates a circumstance, they want a reaction. You give them a reaction, you just fed the energy they wanted. And then they'll fit a narrative to it, they'll make it more and more, they'll keep coming back at you. Where does it end? And what was the point of the start? So if you can recognize it early on that this isn't going to serve me, it's going to provide no value to my life, it's just going to cause me more problems, it's just a waste of my time, why would you put yourself through it knowing that when you're going in? You see things enough, you recognize the pattern of behavior. People are creatures of habit. So, most people mirror and copy each other, which is a pain in the ass, which is why I don't like social media. I don't want to go on there. I could talk about it all day. But people within themselves are creatures of habit. So if you've got someone is dramatic, they're a pain in the ass, don't expect them to change anytime soon. People obviously can change, but evolution is usually a timely thing. It doesn't usually happen overnight. So you've got to ask yourself, how long could you put up with this? So we're going to put it in perspective here. There's a situation. I'm not going to talk this to too many details. But there was a kid at school who had an issue with someone else. Oh, I'm going to have to just explain it a little bit, I think. Because just from what I know, and then maybe you understand where I'm coming from, and maybe you think I'm too harsh because these are just children to a degree because they're like 15 or 16, depending on their age. But by the time school finishes in a few months, they'll all be pretty much 16. So, I mean, for me, that's developing close to an adult now. You're going into the big world where you're going to go college, you're going to find jobs, you're going to do all these different things. If you're not emotionally intelligent enough to handle life, you're going to have a real hard time with that crossover. So those who are ready and prepared will get on far better than someone who it hasn't developed yet, and they're just going to create drama in every avenue. They're going to find life's going to be real hard for them. In school, you get this confined way of being where maybe you feel it's okay to be this way, and it's acceptable to a degree. People are just used to it. But you come out of school, you come out of that protected bubble, that space, life's going to hit you quite hard, to be totally honest. So there was a situation at school where someone threw a bag and it just landed and hit this girl on the leg. Now, I don't know how hard it hit her, but she got it. She picked it up, threw it, slammed it on the ground. And then I can't remember exactly what happened, but she picked it up again and slammed it on the ground again. Now, I am quite balanced. I'm quite chill for the most part. But some things might trigger me. Like, this person didn't do it, but I'm just saying I'm quite temperamental. So I'm chill, but when I get angry, I'll get angry, because for me it's a bit insulting, and it can be personal. So, for instance, if someone got my bag and threw it on the floor because it hit them, maybe you understand, but you don't. But how does that person know what's in your bag? And if it wasn't intended to hit you in the first place, it's an accident. So someone's caused an accident that's offended you, and then you've chose to go into a fit of rage and be more violent. Now, okay, it's only a bag on the floor, you slammed it. But still, one was an accident, one was premeditated, one was this, one you have actually enacted something purposely. It's a purposeful act. To pick their bag up again and slam it hard on the floor, I'm not sure, even at my age now, how I would handle it. I'd like to think I'll be composed, take the moral high ground, but there is a good chance I'd get that bag and launch it straight at their head. And again, I don't care about reputation. I don't care who it is, whether it's male, female, whatever. If you're going to do shit that's I think is incredibly offensive, you want to get angry with my things, you want to get angry with me, I can get angry too. So we all have that potential to be angry. And that's the thing I think people miss. There's always someone who thinks they're the loudest in the room. They think they're the toughest person all the time. Anybody can flip a switch. Look, we're all flesh and meat, It's just that some of us understand the consequences more. We're more balanced with our emotions. But anybody has the potential for violence. Anybody has the potential for anything. So it's just adrenaline for the most part. If adrenaline takes over and you just lose sight of our senses, you almost like turn into a shark. Everybody has the potential to do that. And it doesn't matter how emotionally mature and balanced you are. Anybody has the potential to stand up for themselves and be stronger than the next person. So maybe someone behaves a certain way expecting the world to cater to them. But like I say, the switch can go on anyone. You could even have the calmest person in the room become you could think, bloody hell, they're unhinged. What makes you think someone's inherently weak? We all have muscle. We all have body fat. Think about it on a normal level. Anybody who decides they're going to act in a certain way can behave in that way. So you always get somebody who thinks, I'm the toughest, I'm the strongest. Like, yeah, but everybody could be. If we was all programmed differently and we didn't have this consequential mindset, everybody could be violent. It's obviously not a good way to be, and it's best to be more grounded and balanced. But we all have a tolerance level, and there's always a trigger moment in people, So that's what I'm saying. I don't think anyone is 100% going to be peaceful. There's times when we feel offended, and there's times when I feel you might feel that is a fair reaction. And I Be honest, I don't know. I probably would just launch it straight at their head, to be honest. You want to throw my bag twice, not knowing what's in it, especially if I've got something in it that should be a bit more respectful. Because let's say like a friend threw your bag. I mean, it's a score, of course, but let's say a friend threw your bag. You didn't do it. But bag's already been damaged once. And now you get so angry, you get it and throw it on the floor twice. No, that's probably going towards your head, to be totally honest. No, that person didn't do that, so it makes me the most unhinged in the room. But but again, I don't hide from these things. I just say it how it is, because I think there's too much that goes unchecked. People think they can do what they want. No reaction to it. No, there's reactions to it. I tend to just stay in my own lane though, so I don't tend to bother people like that. But I understand. Look, even when I say things, it might offend people, and they can come at me. I always know that. I don't care about the consequences of shit, in that sort of thing, because we can all get angry. We could all do this and do that. It's just people just seem to think the sun shines out their arse, and it's, I feel offended. Well, we can all be offended. It's just ridiculous. It's like we can all play the victim. It's like So, yeah, I don't care if people get really annoyed. It's like we can all be annoyed. I just say it how it is. If you don't like it, don't listen. So anyway, this person's thrown the bag, and then they've gone on a huge tangent. I don't know if they did it at school or only when my daughter was home, because my daughter's got this massive chain. She showed me briefly. I didn't read any of it because I can't be asked with that nonsense. It was a massive chain of messages. And without even my daughter getting a chance to say anything, this girl was unhinged. She just said a whole load of, like, a massive line. When you get them chats, just line, 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 line. I was like, I do swear in my private time, so, people might not like that. Again, I don't pretend to be anything else. I said, fuck that. I said, I wouldn't put up with that shit. Again, I'm going to say it how I speak to her, because, I don't just sit there and be all delicate and be a flower. No, I'm on it. I'm me. There's a professional side, and then there's just a natural side of where I am. So I just said, and I'm quite fiery anyway. I just don't put up with shit. I have no time for people's nonsense. So straight away, I'm just, fuck that. I said, just block them. They're idiots. Just block them. I couldn't put up with that shit. That's pretty much how I said it. If they're just going to have a conversation for themselves to the point where they're getting angry and they're trying to accuse you of this, and you're not even getting a chance to explain yourself, and they're still going to continue this narrative, what point is there talking to this person? They're obviously unhinged. They've got no emotional intelligence, so they're just going off on one constantly. So then you've got to ask yourself, is this someone you want to be dealing with as you head into the end of your school year? Because she look, I never put pressure on my daughter for results, but she wants to take it serious, and she wants to be studying for it. They only have a few months now, so they've got like maybe a month or two of study before the exams come. Do you want to just let that get ruined because someone else is unhinged? Personally, that's what I said. So I said to her, I'd block them. I'd just block them. If you don't want to just block them, explain it to them. Just say, look, I'm not looking for drama. I'm not getting involved in something like that. It's been, any of this nonsense. If you can't control your emotions and you're just going to keep going on, I haven't got the time for it. I can only be around people who are mature enough to handle, life, and I've got exams to study for. So, you either respect me or you don't. But if you're just going to continue with this, I'm going to have to block you so I can focus on other areas. I can't just listen. I can't just have all these notifications coming through my phone or whatever. Now, that's what I'm telling her. Like, that's an alternative, because she was reluctant just to block. Whereas, in all honesty, I would have just blocked them. I have no patience for morons anymore. So, I'm not going to sit there and educate. So, on my private time, I'm not going to sit there and educate people on the things they're doing wrong and say, I wish you'd see this in yourself. I'm not going to do that shit. If I think you're a pain in the ass, I'm just blocking you. Don't give a shit if you get angry. If I have to see you later and you go, what'd you do that for? Because you're a dickhead. Shut the fuck up. Just leave me alone. I haven't got time for your shit. I'm the last person you want to be pissing about with and expect me to fucking give it, sugarcoat things and then drag it on. I couldn't give a shit if you'd like me or not. That's what I'm like. And then people will soon get the message, won't they? They'll think, wait a minute, if I piss this person off, if I bother their peace, they're going to block me. They've already blocked this person. They blocked that person. They won't let them back. Because I know the character. I haven't got time to talk to this idiot about nonsense. It's like, just go on with life. I'm getting on with my life. You want to make drama? Go and do it to someone else. I don't have the patience for it. I've done that with my family members. It was my sister. She was a pain in the ass. I'm not going to keep going on about things like this. She was so rude to my mum on holiday. Swore at her on a plane because she chose the window seat. She kept making a point. I paid the window seat. I paid the window seat. It's like, all right, Sherlock. It's like, Jesus, love yourself much. She wouldn't. She would not cave about a freaking window seat. And I said, well, what happens if someone goes on holiday with you and they want a window? No, I have to have a seat. I said, you'd sit next to strangers then. Well, no. It's like, well, what? You expect everyone to pander to you. So you get to be comfortable. Everybody else gets the other seats because you're so special, you princess. You know, and I was still laying it on thick with her, trying to show her what a moron she is, but she wouldn't. I don't think she really got it. Some people are a bit simple. So she got angry with my mum because she wanted it. She was panicking. She's going to get left on the plane when it landed. I thought you're a lunatic. You know. Now people might think I'm cruel, but she's a feisty person. When she was in her younger years at school, she used to get in fights even with guys. So this isn't me picking on a woman. This is a feisty person who has no hesitation to just punch people. I'm not like that. I'm not a violent person, but I do stand up for myself. You know, and I don't want to say it, but I'm smarter than most people in a room. So in terms of wits, you're not really going to outwit me most of the time. It'd be fun if I was, because I haven't really met people that can. And it'd be fun if I can have someone that can challenge me in that sense. Just make it interesting. I like to be challenged. But anyway, to most people in my life, I'm, intellectually, they don't challenge me. I just see through everything. So I'm watching her. She's trying to talk her way out of shit, not working with me. So I don't let her off the hook because sometimes I find that fun. So she's more violent than me, but I'm smarter than her. So this is fun. And then I calculate everything, and it's so fast. So where some people, and I say that because I witness people, where some people take a good few seconds to make a decision or do this, because their mind just doesn't fire. That's one decision I can, within my mind, and I'm not saying this is just how my mind works. I can calculate multiple outcomes in milliseconds. And for me, it might feel like a long time. It's literally a second, like a second's gone. I've already figured out every outcome that could happen. It's just because it's like I just image it. It's just like flashcards. Nah, it's not worth the hassle. So it might look like, oh, you're being weak, you're being this. No, I've just seen all the outcomes. It's not worth it. It's a bit like if you turn to violence. What the outcomes in a violent confrontation? You could hurt someone. Maybe you just wanted to shut them up, or you just wanted to win an argument. Your ego run rampant. Now I've hurt them. I didn't really want to hurt them. I just wanted to tell them to shut the fuck up. Oh, well, okay, because I wouldn't feel comfortable watching someone in pain. That's not my character. I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. I'd regret that if I saw someone genuinely hurt. Then the other side of that is I could be genuinely hurt. We're not all superheroes. There's a chance you get hurt. What's the consequence of that? If you got truly hurt, you could get brain damage. You wouldn't be the same person you are now. What's the point of risking that? On the other side of that, maybe you're not even here anymore. You died. An accident, a slip, you hit your head. These consequences are so meaningless. Why would you risk that? On the other side of that, let's say it goes your well. Let's say you did win the fight. Well, you could be arrested and go to jail. Now, let's say it got worse than that. You're not even just in jail. Maybe that person hit their head and they died. Or they got brain damage. Something happened that's serious. Now you're going to jail for a long time, perhaps even life. If you're in another country, maybe you get the death penalty. Again, people might think, oh, you're so weak. No, I just know the consequences. And none of these outcomes are favourable in any way to either side. So it's not worth a physical confrontation. Other people, they don't think of any of that. They just, ego runs rampant. They think, I just want to hit you. And it's like, well, you haven't thought it all through, have you? That's the real problem. I'm dealing with a freaking moron. So yeah, there will be issues in life, and maybe you're gonna have to stand up for yourself and punch the person back, because in violence, sometimes if you can't bridge the gap, you're gonna have to defend yourself. Anyway, so I'm with my situation with my sister. She's going off on one. Everybody's on the plane just listening, because we was like towards the front part of the plane, and I don't really care though. I'm not really I can be an introvert, extrovert. So really, in all honesty, I just don't care though. Even in a public setting, I'm not like embarrassed. So I was just playing with her because I thought it was fun. Because I thought, you're unhinged. You've been rude to my mum, our mum. It's not my battle to a degree, because it's our mum, So it's not a case of, oh, some stranger's offended my mum. It's our own daughter, for God's sake. So I'm standing there, just letting it go for just a moment. And then because we're still waiting, because if you let it go, you're not adding layers to this. Just let it finish and just be done with it. She's had her outburst. She's acting like a prat. The whole plane's just seen she's an idiot. Let that be the case. Because we're still waiting, oh, God, bloody hell, that was mad. Because I had my niece in front, she had her daughter. So there's a group of about 5 of us. And my sister, because she doesn't have a clue, doesn't read the room, doesn't understand the situation. She was the aggressor. She was the pain in the arse, and she was rude. My mum was merely just trying to get her seatbelt off. She was struggling to get her seatbelt off. My sister was anxious, getting panicky, and it's incredibly rude because of it. She'd just been patient for another 5 seconds. It would have all been perfect. Didn't even need that. That aggravation didn't do anything. Just made my mum more anxious. It upset my mum, and it's making it harder for her to take a seatbelt off. It's a bit like if you're in a car and you bib at someone that pisses you off. I don't do that, not because I'm scared of a reaction, but because I just want them out of my way. If I bib, it makes them hesitate. It's going to make someone react in a way that's not natural, and it causes more hassle than it's worth. So now that they could have an accident, you can just get annoyed in your own space. It's fine, but you don't have to project. Anyway, so as you can see, my emotional depth, I do think of everything. I'm not an unhinged lunatic. So if I'm ever reactive, believe me, it's because I feel that way. And it's like I've processed all the outcomes and I still feel this way or something, you know. So anyway, I'm on a plane. Everyone's watching. Okay, bloody hell, that was mental. My sister's like, right? I said, no, you. I said, you fucking unhinged. Again, I do swear my private line. I don't really care. And she goes, what? Like, because she felt offended. She thought I had her back. No chance. I will always have my mum's back. I said, bloody hell, she's only trying to get out of her seat. You've got no patience. You're trying to figure it and you're getting angry with her. I said, you're nuts. She goes, fuck off, Stephen. Like, she really get angry. Like, fuck off. So, oh. I just looked at her daughter, like my niece, and we just laughed. I just went, we're laughing. And it was just funny because I've just, you know, it's like she'd already made herself look an idiot and I've just rubbed salt in the wound. You know, because I know how to trigger people. If anyone thought that was going to play out any other way, they're just silly. I knew how it was going to play out as soon as I started playing with her. You know, so it's like playing with a lion. You know when a lion's going to kick off. I know how to. I'm going to just wave a bit of steak in front of that lion. We're going to play for a little bit. So yeah, I mean, look, that's not necessarily protecting our peace. It's antagonising people, isn't it? But I have that in me as well. So, like for instance, was on holiday. On that holiday, at the beginning of the holiday, we had to share a room with my mum. It was supposed to be me and my mum, and then my sister was, for some reason, sharing with us. So we got the bigger room. Then my niece and her daughter shared a room. But really, I thought my sister was going to be with them because they're similar. They're loud, they're obnoxious, they have no respect for other people. It's just they're best to be in their own space. You know, I'm not like that. I don't like this. I don't like the hassle. I don't like people being rude. You know, I like to protect my peace. So we're just different people fundamentally. She had the only key to the room, which I thought was a bit rude. Like, share it a little bit. You don't need to hold on to it all day. Like, for instance, if you're just going to sit by the pool, you're not going up to the room, and I'm going to walk around, go out for a bit, then I might need the key. So she was like, no, it's my key. I said, why is it your key? She goes, because I was given the key. So it's mine, isn't it? I was like, right. And then but this is where we got to see some home truths about her, though. Like, she started to tell, when you push people with the buttons, they start to tell you things that they didn't say before. So I said, okay, so it's all about you then. She goes, yeah, it is all about me. Oh, this is curious. I was like, oh, right. So we're all here for you. She's like, well, no, well, you know, she's got backtracking slightly, but then it's, you know, I just made the point to her that said this is all about your holiday. She goes, yeah, it is about my holiday. I paid to come here, blah blah blah. I said, what? We all come to pay here, pay to come here. And then like I had a good paying job at that point, but I'd left a few months before the holiday. So my mum did help top up the holiday payments because we had to pay monthly. And it was only for a little bit there, and then pay it back later, right? I paid most of it because I was getting paid a job. She's been on benefits her whole life. She feels that's her income, by the way, whole life. I'm not saying it's bad to be on benefits. You know, we'll go through struggles, but she's been on it her whole life. Ridiculous, you know. So, but she's had this attitude that I never work or something. And I've always, if you see that, I've got my body of books here. I've got a forklift license. I've got a huge background in warehousing and logistics and all sorts of stuff. You don't have that background if you never worked. You wouldn't do the books if you didn't put the effort in. So it's like whatever. But this is how you learn people's opinion of you and their character, you know. So she said, we all know Mum paid for your holiday. I was like, do you? Because how could she have paid for my holiday when I paid most of it? And she still wouldn't. Didn't want to hear that. She didn't want to believe that. And I just thought, you're an idiot. Like, how can I be working full time? I was on a good paying job, and I was doing overtime at the time as well, leading up to the holiday. Why wouldn't I be able to afford the holiday? What are you talking about? But what that showed me about their opinion of me, and it was interesting because it's important we find this out about people. It doesn't matter how good I do in life, they will always have a negative opinion of me. They won't ever value what I do and appreciate me. That's what it showed me. They were just projecting, but it's like I got to see what they thought of me, you know? So I was like, okay, I'm done with you. In my mind, see how I block people? In my mind, I was like, I'm done with you. Once this holiday's finished, I'm done. I don't put up with people who disrespect me or have no respect, you know? But it's like, we'll get through the motions to a point. Even then, didn't really Part of them to a degree, but I didn't really bother them that much. I just really was interested to spend time with my mum. It was a chance to go on holiday with her, you know. My sister was lazy. She was always laying around the sun loungers and always expecting everyone to go and get her drinks and food. It was just ridiculous. And sometimes she wouldn't even join the rest of us. So the rest of us would go to breakfast in the morning. She wouldn't bother. Couldn't bother to get out of bed. Sometimes she didn't want to do lunch. Couldn't bother to get up off the sun lounger. This is what we dealt with. I'm not saying it to try and posture myself as better. This is just the differences, though. You know, there was one time we went to the cafe at the bottom of the road. We're in Greece. I love Greece. On Crete. And there's cafe at the bottom. They served all sorts of foods, you know, and milkshake, anything you want. It was so nice. We found it. We went there a couple of times. So we messaged, one of my niece messages or her daughter messaged, just to say, look, we're at the bottom of the road on that cafe. It's so easy. Just come out and go straight down. It's not even complicated. She refused to come unless someone come to collect her. She felt uncomfortable. It's like, oh, you're a joke. You know, it's all little things like that. I hired a car, so I'm the one that drove everyone around for a few days as well. You know, so I'm a proactive person. I don't need people around me to get things done. She's very much reliant on other people and plays the victim. And miraculously, as we get in the coach home, she barged onto the coach because she could see, because the coach driver was struggling to get all the bags on. He was getting concerned that we hadn't got space. Said, mate, whose bag do you think went on first? And who's been walking around like they can't walk properly, has zoomed in the coach as fast as they can up the stairs to get a seat. Yeah, her. Didn't care about the rest of us. It's just as long as she's safe. And then, remarkably, you get to the airport. I'm not here to dig at people, but this is what happens, so I'll just share it. We get to the airport. She was one of the ones that smoke. My niece and her smoke. My mum, me don't, and her daughter don't. So we've got there. We've got I haven't got long. The flight was, I can't remember, like an hour or so. It wasn't, the coach took too long. We still had to get our bags checked in. We had to get through security, and we still got to get to the gate and even go through duty free. This lot are useless. I'm thinking, I'm not missing my flight. Their attitude was they'll hold the flight up. I said, are you serious? Like, that's how important I think they are, you know? I'm not missing my flight for you people. I've had enough of you lot, to be totally honest. So I've got in, queued up, done my bag. They did catch up with me eventually, but I queued up myself. I thought, I'm putting my bag in. I'm going through security. I'm going to go through the gate. I'm going to get to the gate, and I'm making sure I'm on this flight. I've not been missing my flight for you lot. They just got their priorities all backwards, you know? No, we've gone off track here, but I just wanted to show really how I deal with people and some of the situations. I said to my mum, because then that's what led up. So after all that, that's when my sister had that outburst on the plane when we landed. And I said to my mum, as we was walking, I said, after this, I'm not talking to her ever again. I'm not bothering anymore. I don't like who she is. And I said, we'll just get through this. Just be peaceful till we get out of this bloody airport. Because I drove my mum home. You know, that was the plan. The others would go together. My mum and I that was always the plan. So rather than pile on, I was like, my sister was getting anxious. Where do we get our bags? And I was like, I'll be peaceful until we finish this trip. So I said, I don't panic. I said, we're just going there now. We just got to wait for it to unload. And, you know, I thought I put her mind at ease there, but I haven't talked to her since. But we had an argument on WhatsApp where some truths come out again. Like my stepdad and my mum helped me through family court for my daughter. So if they hadn't, I wouldn't have had the finances to do that. So then it might be that she wouldn't. I don't know how involved I would have been in her life without that. And that took 1.5 years of me constantly traveling up north. So even though I didn't have the finances, I did everything I could. I'm the one that worked hard on the case. I'm the one that kept fighting. I'm the one that kept turning up. I've been ever present in my daughter's life ever since. If she calls me, I'm there. When it's holidays, I'm there. I do the best I can with what I have. And our relationship is beautiful. So to attack that in any way, for me, is disgusting. I don't care if you think there's a reason for it. You're sick. So she said about the fact that, you know, in this message, she made a point of the fact that they helped fund my court case, the court hearings for my daughter. And for me, that's one of the worst things anyone could do with me. If you think you're going to stay in my life after that, you've got another thing coming. I was already fed up with her anyway. She was just trying to get one up on me. She didn't want to lose an argument. She just thought I'd say that, but it's like, you've just buried yourself in my life entirely. I always say it to my mum. I said, I will not deal with her ever again. She can kiss my ass. I won't even raise an argument with her. If I don't like someone that much, I won't even get in an argument. I'll act like they don't exist. She will never have an audience with me again in my lifetime. Doesn't matter even if she apologizes. It means nothing to me. You said what you feel, because I know when you say those things, you actually mean it. Even if you change your mind later, I don't care. That was cruel. She said some other things, but I just stopped listening after a while and just blocked her message and deleted her. Yeah, I haven't spoke to her ever since. Again, I think this is important, really, actually, because we're talking about protecting our peace. These are ways we protect our peace. We remove people who provide no value to our life. Then she tried turning my other sister against me because I'd mentioned something in one of my books. I can't remember exactly what, because I've done a lot. And I've used examples from life. My other sister has had periods in her life where, like, her husband has to work a lot of overtime and provide for her because she has these desires to have maybe a luxury bag. She wants multiple holidays. There's certain expectations she has of life, and other people have to meet that expectation. She might not like hearing it back, but that's the truth. And I think that's important that we talk and reflect on things like that. It wasn't to be a deep attack on someone. It was a reflection on life and the relationships and the boundaries and the way we treat people. If you love people, you wouldn't do that. So, like, okay, you might want a luxury of this, a luxury of that. But to allow the person you're supposedly in love with to suffer so heavily for you to have that, for me, it just doesn't sit right. If you love someone, you don't make them suffer like that. Surely there's what's important to you, you know? So, yeah, okay, I've said that. I don't know what my sister's vendetta was, but apparently she'd started reading my books. Now, she wouldn't buy my book. She doesn't support me. She would have only read the samples because she doesn't buy my book. I'm surprised she even read anything. She must have read a sample, picked up on it, without giving her the context, and told my other sister something. Now, me and my other sister had conflict. So I've had conflict with so many people. It's ridiculous. My ex-partner, she had like serious mental health problems at one point in our relationship, and she just needed care. And there was a situation where she needed home visits. And at that point, we'd been evicted from our home. We was having to stay at my mum's parents' home. It was a very long process. It was about 10 months there. It was uncomfortable for everyone in the end. But that was life. And they allowed the living room to be used for those meetings. It was only for like an hour. Even my stepdad, who's very, very regimented, he don't budge much. Even he removed himself. On this occasion, he wasn't home. My other sister started throwing a hissy fit. Well, no, we shouldn't have to leave the room, blah, blah. It's like, Jesus Christ, can you just leave the room just so she can do this? Now, I get protective of people who are vulnerable, especially those I care about. If someone's vulnerable, I'll speak up for them. She made such a scene. I was so enraged. I've not been as angry at that in my life. I think it's probably one of the most angry moments I have had in my life because it was someone's life on the line. And of course, someone I love, but it was the fact that someone's life is on the line here. That's how serious it is. So when I say mental health thing, it was dangerous. And I've got an entitled individual, whether that's my family member or not, risking that person's life because that can cause anxiety and then cause that person to react. And I think that's so selfish. So I went ballistic, to be honest. In all honesty, I wanted to rip a door off its hinge. I was so angry. That's why I said everybody has the potential to be angry. I was fuming. And I did swear at my sister. And my nephew was there. And perhaps if in a more restrained way, I wouldn't have done that. And he got upset. But it's like, in that moment, I just, nothing mattered. You're just a piece of shit. You're just freaking selfish. Anyway, I don't pretend to be perfect. I'm defending my partner who had problems and needed support. In the end, we had to go outside, tell the people, and then she had to tell the people that we can't do it here. So they had to take her to a hospital. When you hear the hospital, you know what I'm talking about. And they had to have the meeting there. And I had to go and pick her up after. So she's gone for about an hour and I had to go and pick her up, all because my sister couldn't do it, couldn't vacate her room. So anyway, this is not the sister on the plane, this is the other one. So my other sister, the one on the plane, has decided to tell her. She featured in my book in one way or another. So she took exception to me without even hearing me out or even trying to talk to me about it. So she immediately said, "Oh, right, he's an arsehole, blah, blah, blah." Okay, I don't really care. If you think I'm an arsehole, I'm an arsehole. I don't give a shit. I don't care, man. I don't care about having people in my life. So if you disrespect me, I didn't do it to be disrespectful. I was just sharing a part of life. So later on, it's only a good few months, they started arguing. And then the sister who had been manipulated to a degree even said to my mum, it wasn't even that long ago, maybe about 6 months ago or so, I guess. 8 months, I don't know. And she said, I think she turned me against him. I think she turned me against. She had to think about it, and she thought about it. She said, "I think." My mum said, my mum knew everything that happened, but never really got involved. She goes, "She did." And then since then, my sister's tried to make peace, but I'm just not interested. It's like, I've even said to my mum, even if we made peace, it's what's the point? We don't live near each other. We've got different values on life. I don't have time for all this shit. I just don't have the time for it. It's like, I don't care. It's like people can think what they want, you know? I don't care. If you didn't have decency to talk to me at the time, you chose someone else, and then all of a sudden you expect me to go, oh, well, it's all right now you see it. I don't care, though. Just get on with your life. That's what I'm like. So I am very firm with boundaries, and I don't give many people a second chance. I understand there's room for growth and things, but that's more for them than me. You know, I haven't got the time for that shit. People show you colours once, they're going to do it again. So I don't regret things. I just think I wish you well on your healing journey. It's not deeply personal in that sense that I'd want the worst on people. I just hope they all grow, you know, but don't waste my time. Go and do your shit. You know, when it comes down to it, none of them have bought my books. None of them have been supportive. So even if they act like they give a shit, they've never shown they do. And it's been nearly a decade doing this, and they've never supported me. So what does that say? But anyway, that goes full circle back to this child who's acting similar to the way my sister would behave, I think. Again, you see these patterns of behavior in life. You see it in adults. Now, youngsters can grow, but really their development's going to be a bit more stunted. And I just think someone that's on the precipice of becoming an adult, per se, in terms of living and behaving in the big wide world, if they're not ready, then I think having that around you is just going to anchor you. So the option my daughter has is allow this person to keep venting to her, make this massive drama, not study, mess up your grades, and eventually you're going to drift apart anyway because you're completely different people. What's the point of having that in your life? So I just said immediately I would block them. And if I have to have an uncomfortable conversation at school, I will. So when you go back into school, the person can make a whole drama. Oh, you blocked me. I had to block you. You won't shut the fuck up. Give me a headache. I'm not off. I'm just saying how I would. That's what I said to my daughter, but this is how I would behave. Doesn't matter what age I'm at. I'm very stubborn. I had a disagreement with a friend at school. We was best friends for a period. We didn't talk for like a year. I'm stubborn as a mule. If I don't want to talk to someone, I will not talk to them. Been like that my whole life. So I'm all right going traversing this life solo if I need to. You know, I'm good because I'm confident in myself. I just don't need hassle. I don't need people's nonsense. So that's how I would have dealt with that, no matter what age I'm at. So even if I was at school, so it's not a case of I'm grown up, I can do. No, I would have done that at school. I was like a social butterfly. I could talk to so many different people. I had my core group, and then I had other people I talked to, and I got on great with loads of people. I often found it interesting to talk to different types of people. I just enjoyed it. But if someone pushed my boundaries or they're rude, I was like, I'm not interested in you anymore. I don't like you. It's all about respect, you know. So like I say, if someone's going to bombard with mass load of messages because they've got no self-control and they're just looking for attention and validation, I haven't got time for that shit. So if I block them, there's a reason I blocked them. So when they come to school, if they're or any part of life, I wonder why I blocked them because it feels insulting. It's because you're an unhinged lunatic. I haven't got time to deal with an unhinged lunatic. It's like, get yourself together, but be more mature, and then start to handle life. Don't expect people to pander to your shit and hold themselves up. I'm not going to sit here with my phone blowing up. My phone is on Do Not Disturb. So you can see I'm quite fiery. My phone is on Do Not Disturb because I don't even want to receive an email notification. I don't like the constant interruption to my life. I'll look when I'm ready to look. If I look at my phone and someone has sent me God knows how many freaking messages, one after another, because they've got no patience or they've got no respect, because they're not even respecting the fact that waiting for you to speak back, they're just projecting. You best believe if I saw that shit, I wouldn't read any of it. I would delete that motherfucker as fast as possible, and they'd be blocked. And they're not coming. I wouldn't even enable that block ever again. Because my daughter said that if I block them, I'd have to add them again. I said, fuck that shit. Just block them and just keep them at a distance. Segregate your shit. This is important, and this is why I say how I am with her. I'm quite direct, and she gets it. Helps. I think gets the message across quicker, you know. I said what I was like at school. I'm not telling you to be the same as me because we're different. I was more of a homebody at home. I still saw some of my friends outside of school, but for me, I segregated my life. I could be the life of school. I can get on with so many people at school, but it drains me after. Like I enjoy it for a period, then I like my own space. When do I ever get time for me? I want to relax when the weekend comes. I was invited to parties. I was invited to all sorts of shit. So it weren't like people didn't like me. They wanted me places. I didn't want to be in those places. Call it boring, call it whatever. I've always been the way I am. So I never cared if I looked dysfunctional or unhinged or antisocial, whatever you want to call it. You know, people might laugh when you go back to school. Go, oh, you should have come to this party, and then maybe act like laugh that you didn't, and all those things, thinking you're just a bit sad or something. It wasn't so much that, but it did make you feel a bit left, not left out, but a bit odd. But I still would never change my values, even from a young age. So I was never impressionable. I'd hear about all the things they're doing, even at like teenage years at school. You know, we're getting all drunk, you're doing all this shit with gals. I'm not doing any of those things. It won't interest in me. I'll see you guys at school. And I still hang out with some on the weekend. We go into town, we do things. Not every weekend, not all the time. Sometimes I go and play like soccer, football in the park and things. So it wasn't a case of, I was just stuck at home. But I'd only ever do things on my terms when I want to. So for that instance, for instance, like my daughter, I'm just saying what I would do personally is segregate. Your problem is, this is something she needs to learn, is people pleasing. It's like she wants to keep everyone happy, and she's trying to. It's a different for girls. There's this different personality with girls, and there's a lot of bitchiness, and it's a minefield. No, I've witnessed it with her. Like, she's having to manage this. She has a beautiful personality, and I don't say it because she's my daughter. She's just a beautiful personality to witness, and people try to abuse that, and they want, and people get you caught up in drama. For instance, let's say someone's got an issue with someone, and she's still friends with them. People take that personal. They're like, why are you still talking to them? It's like, I think I've got something right there. And I've always said to her, even with my sisters, for instance, I've always said this to her. I said, if I ever have a problem with someone, that's not your problem with them. So don't ever feel you got to pick sides or anything like that. That's not your problem. Don't feel you have to defend me. I can defend myself. And I've always said this with her. It's up to you to decide someone's character for yourself based on your interactions with people and what you see. It's nothing. I don't seek for you to defend my honor, and I don't seek for you to have to keep a distance from people just because I don't like them. And I've always been like that. I don't care who you are. I don't care about things like that. It's like my problem with someone. It starts and ends with me. And there's too many people that I'm like they're unbalanced. They have no confidence in themselves, so they feel attacked when someone else talks to someone. That's not their problem. Don't make someone else your problem someone else's problem. So what I've said to my daughter there is, just, you're going to have to at some point learn to segregate your school life to your personal life. If you keep bringing all your stuff from school into your home life, it just doesn't end. You can have some friends that are your core group friends, and you're going to maybe see them outside of school. You can talk to them outside of school. Some of your other friends are going to have to understand they're your school friends. That's it. You can still have a good time at school, but when I'm at home, I don't have time for everyone. You're going to get upset. You might not like it. It's tough shit. You don't get to decide who I have in my life. So this unhinged lunatic one, let's say you have to put up with it at school. You're in classes together, whatever. Okay, find a way to manage that. But you don't have to bring that person into your home life. And it's just like, for instance, you're at an age where you might be sitting with your family, you might be doing things, and this child thinks they're that important that they can just bombard that individual with so many messages, and you have to respond because they're the epicenter of the world. Just because they've got nothing going on at home or they've got these issues, it doesn't mean someone else doesn't have things going on at home and they don't have their own issues. It's just a warped reality that some people live by, So it's ridiculous to expect my daughter to have to put up with that shit on top of all the other things she has to cope with in life and her own stresses and hassles. It's not reasonable to expect someone to put up with that level of bombardment. Like, if someone had seen that, you'd be shocked, like how many messages that was. And it didn't stop. Even when I was talking to my daughter, she was just kept looking inside. I'm like, what are you looking at? She goes, well, she's still sending me stuff. I was like, you got to turn this person off. Freaking heck. Who gives a shit if they get angry or upset? Who cares, man? Just fucking delete the motherfucker. That's what I'm like, because I'm getting angry now. Because I'm like, if this person's going to be that freaking unhinged, sometimes you just got to, be really abrupt. So with some people, you have to be abrupt. It's understanding. It's silly because you know how they're going to handle it. So just be prepared for it. We know full well they're unhinged as shit. What's going to happen at school? If you block them, delete them, whatever, what's going to happen at school? They're going to make a drama. They're going to try and make it out that you're the unhinged lunatic. You're spiteful. You know that going in, so just prepare yourself. Know what they're coming at you with, and just be relaxed. Because they're going to do that to other people too. That's going to be the character that's painted. But also, like I said, people will see how you react to things. Oh, shit. They're going to delete me if I behave like that. Yeah. So you're not doing it to try to create some sort of reputation. You're doing it to protect your peace. Why would you care? I always find this about social media, and I say it to my daughter quite often. I didn't really mean to get on social media. I hate social media. Too many copycats. People copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. I want to be like this. I want to be like that. I want to be like this. I want to be like that. It's like no originality. It makes it boring for me. I scroll and scroll and scroll. I'm like shit, shit. Yesterday I did about 100 scrolls in rapid succession. I was like, that's crap, 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 crap. And I thought to myself, if I'd sat there and suffered for each one for a period of a minute to 10 minutes, imagine all that time wasted because all those videos were just a repetition of the same thing in whatever avenue, different avenues, but different. You know, if it was a funny video, it's a similar funny video. If it was a tower reading, it's the same tower readings. If it's politics, it's the same politics. You know, it's like, God damn, they're all just copying each other. Fuck, get off my phone. So I was making a point to her that a lot of people, they're just really desperate to get like 1 million likes. And it's like, that's what I want, 1 million likes. And I said to her, the difference between them wanting 1 million likes and me wanting to do well is the fact that I put work in, I put time, effort, and work I do. I want it to work. I want it to be successful. So I'm not looking for 1 million likes. I'm just looking to find success in what I do and help people. So I'm not doing it for some artificial number. It's just other people, they just want that for some reason. And what does it change in their life? You do a funny video, you do something else, and people, okay, it goes viral. Okay. How are you going to follow that up? You know, that'd be the highlight of their life. Everybody saw my video. Okay. I don't want to be rude, but okay. What does that do? If it's got no substance to the video, what does it actually do for your life? And how many likes, follows, whatever, is going to make you satisfied? And really, what it comes down to deep enough is what number will it finally take for you to be yourself? When will you be original? When will you be comfortable just to be yourself and not have to be something else just to make other people excited to hear from you or see your content? Because that's the part that really annoys me over in general. Like that's when it comes down to it deep enough, that's the thing I see in people, and that's what annoys me about the world, is how people are just not themselves. They're just so quick to be other people and be copy this, copy that, just to get some sort of attention. And it's just like, why do you crave the attention? Like, what does that say about you? And everyone's doing it. So I see videos, for instance, going, oh, if you want to be viral, if you need to be doing this. I think, couldn't give a shit about that. I mean, I've got things to promote, for God's sake. You'd think I'd probably be the one that should be watching that. And I go, I don't want to hear this shit. Off. I only ever want to be successful based on who I am and what I do. I don't know bloody metrics and some sort of like ways to do this. I hate social media. I won't be on it much at all. Like, for instance, I'm on TikTok at the minute. I've only got a few followers, but that's neither here nor there. It's more the fact that I can't stand watching this shit. I'm taking it. So I will be, there's a book I'm still working on, and I've faved some videos because they're pertaining to what I'm writing about within politics and some other issues. And I don't want to sort of lose them tags that I've sort of like implemented. And then once I've figured out, once this book's done, or that, at least that section, I will be deleting it. Even if out of nowhere my TikTok got popular, I'd probably still delete it. Say probably, because if I feel it's helping people, it becomes bigger than me. And that's the conflict I often have, is how much do I give up of what I want for other people? But because I want to help people and empower them, it's just like sometimes the sacrifice is worth it. But if anyone asks me deeply personally, what do I think of social media? I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I think it brings some people together, but I think it also encourages people to be unoriginal. And they just copy paste, and then people mimic it, and it has a huge impact on society, you know. So personally, I don't like it at all, and I refuse to sort of fit in with it personally. Anyway, I know this probably hasn't been as deep as it's gone in different angles, hasn't it? It's been a bit angry at times, I guess. But again, like I say, if people involved were ever to see this video, I mean, they'd get to see what my daughter has behind her. Someone who doesn't put up with shit, and if you treat her like disrespectful in any way, my advice to her is to just get blocked and delete, move on, find people that value you. And that's my advice to her all the time: is find a close inner circle. Something else I've said to her is like, when you finish school, because school is like a weird protective bubble. It's like a prison to a degree. Once you get into the big wide world, you've got decisions to make, and it all has consequences. So I said, when you finish school, it's really important you are discerning about who you decide to be friends with, because it goes beyond that friend. You could be with someone, let's say someone's a little bit unhinged, but you think, oh, I better be kind to them. That's up to you. I would get rid of them. because you, first of all, you don't know how they're going to behave, and inevitably people get in relationships. So whoever that person ends up in a relationship with now becomes a part of your group. And if that person's unhinged, maybe they attract another unhinged person. There you've got two unhinged people affecting your group, and you don't know what that means. So I think you're better off being discerning about who you hang out with. Don't be so quick to please. Be so quick to be liked. Value yourself. And I think having those standards is really, really beneficial and important. Otherwise, you will find people take advantage of you, and you'll be in situations that's hard to get out of. Because you become entrenched in some sort of weird ecosystem. Whereas I'm more nomadic. I'm just more my own vibe. I don't need all that shit. So when people look at me and they think, God damn, he's so unsociable, he's so, all this, it's like, yeah, because I protect my peace. So yeah, I'd rather people gossip about me and I'm just peaceful in my own space. That's the thing. I have no doubt people always gossip about me and they've got an opinion on me one way or another. Meanwhile, I'm just relaxing at home or doing something, I'm just chilling, So that they could be having all this gossiping shit and I could be just sitting there watching The Office laughing to myself thinking this is hilarious. Making myself some popcorn, I had a waffle yesterday, made that, I got a nice waffle maker, something simple. I'm just like chilling, I'm just in my own space, not even really affecting anyone. I share my insights on life, I try to help educate people, I try to empower people to become strong and resilient. In my private life, I'm just minding my own business. So I always find that quite curious. If anybody's gossiping about me, it's like, what a waste of energy, because it doesn't even affect me. I mean, look at me. I've been doing this for years, like years and years and years. Do I look like someone that's deeply affected if someone has an opinion on me? Come on. Yeah. I'm just looking for high quality people. People who have values, respect, intelligence, compassion. Because the thing is, it might seem I have no compassion. I just have no compassion for morons. If I find people who value you and you value them, then I'll have all the compassion in the world, as you saw about like my ex-partner when I got fired up defending her honour, even against my own family. So yeah, I do defend the vulnerable and people I cherish, Anyway, hopefully it's been helpful to people. I'm not sure if it's just been a ramble.